Welcome to Eating Elephants Ministry. I'm Phil Richardson, joined by my producer, Tony Abbott.
What's going on, guys?
We are a podcast ministry, and we are here to have some talks with people and walk the walk by taking bites out of elephants. It's kind of the phrase that we're basing our ministry off of is how to eat an elephant, one bite at a time. And it's talking about how to solve big problems, how to tackle the issues of the world that we face, and that is to take action and take small bites. And so we're going to have some guests on here, and we're going to try and figure out ways to serve them, serve a cause that they care about, maybe how they can educate us to better serve those in need. Whatever it may be, we're gonna stay hungry and try and find somewhere to take a bite out of an elephant. So that's what we're doing here, and this is episode 1. So if you're watching this, you're an original, an original member, an OG, as some may say. And so I expect maybe 10 views out of this. So if you're one of the 10, dang, appreciate you. You're awesome. I appreciate you. You're probably one of my friends in real life. And I'm joined by my first guest, longtime friend, Mike Tyner / Giggy, or hyphen. Giggy.
That works either way.
Yeah. Okay. Welcome to the podcast, episode 1.
It's awesome to be here for the first one, man.
Yeah, I appreciate you.
I appreciate being the first one on here.
Yeah, we've been friends for how long?
And don't do that to me.
Yeah, it's been 13
11
years. 11? Okay.
Yeah, I think since 2013.
Gotcha.
Yeah, because it was right after.
Yeah, yeah. Just to jump right into that, I think we'll skip that. But as far as us meeting, it was. Were you playing Magic that night?
Yeah, we were. Yeah,
you were. Okay, so I actually I remember that. Yeah, I remember praying for friends. I remember that. I was feeling super lonely in life, and I was just like, this is just crap. Like, I mean, I can't find any buddies at where I was going to college, and felt kind of solo. So I was just like, but you can't make friends sitting in your house.
Right.
It's just not what's going to happen. So yeah, I said that prayer like, God, I want some friends, and I walked up to Starbucks, and I saw 5 dudes playing Magic the Gathering.
In a Starbucks.
That's right. And I played Magic the Gathering.
At an odd hour.
Yeah. Yeah. It was pretty late. And, it was, I went in there, and I felt like it was just one of those like old school ways of just saying like, hey, you guys want to be friends? I just went to the basic, like, hey, can I play with you guys?
And our group is into that,
Dude. I later learned that that's kind of how all you guys, triggered your friendships.
Show up to each other's houses like, hey, you want to play?
Yeah, you want to be friends? Yeah. Because when I talked to you guys after, you're like, yeah, that's how we all made friends. So it was cool that's how it goes. Because for me, I overthink it, and I'm sitting here trying to have some kind of like chance encounter where we just have some kind of conversation.
Trying to plan something out and not knowing that we're all crazy. You can't plan anything that we're going to say.
Yeah. So, and I just walked up and I said, can I play with you guys? I play Magic. And I mean, I wrecked you guys. Let's just be honest.
Oh, yeah, we were noobs.
Yeah. So I was like into Magic the Gathering to a point where I would show up to like weekly events at times. Like I played in a tournament before. So at least I took it somewhat seriously.
You helped us get better, though.
Yeah.
You helped us try harder because we were just, going against each other.
Yeah.
And then you came in and brought real competition.
Right.
Instead of just playing around, it became like an actual game.
Yeah. And so we met, and then I guess, you're from Lakeland?
Yeah, born and raised.
Born and raised.
Yeah.
Okay. And then your mom was born and raised here as well?
Yeah, the same thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
But your dad, like,
Dad
gone at birth or what? Like,
no,
he was
3 years old. I was
3 years old.
So yeah, too early for me to really remember. But
right.
Yeah, I don't really remember much about him at all.
Yeah. So he was like gone. Like,
yeah, gone.
But do you know where he went?
Yeah, he went to prison.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. I guess I never asked you that, man.
Yeah, he was in prison in and out for a while.
I'm sorry, dude.
No, it's all right.
It's crazy that as guys, sometimes we don't ask the weird,
No, you don't get that deep. Yeah.
This is where I might get to learn about my friends here. So that's cool. That's cool. All right. So he went to prison on and off for how long? Like, what do you mean?
I mean, for the better part of my childhood, I'd say for 10 years. He was in and out of prison. All I really knew of him that he was in or out. That's all the information I got.
Did he write to you at all, or?
Yeah, and I didn't find that out until later when my mom she hid them from me because we were children. She didn't know if we could handle it, and that was the way she chose to go about it. Whether it was wrong or right, I don't know, but that's how she chose to do it. So.
When did you find out?
When I was 18.
Oh, jeez, man.
Yeah. That he wrote me a letter when I was like 8 or 9 years old that was like, happy birthday, wish I could hear from you or something like that. Yeah, it felt kind of bad, but I think my mom wrote back instead.
Like acting like you?
No, I don't think acting like me. Just wrote back to him and was like, that's, I don't even know what she said. We actually have a couple of them that she either wrote or from him that to my mom.
Whoa.
Yeah. I didn't read any of them, but my sister did.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So your sister was also same dad?
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. And so she was also cut off? Like she didn't know either?
Yeah, it was the same. And so she might have been like 15 when she started establishing contact a little bit more.
Gotcha.
I had to wait till I was 18, but because I had already, it was weird to tell one child and not the other. And one being 18 and one being 15, I guess, seemed like the right time for my mom.
Gotcha. Yeah. And so you were growing up here, and then, as far as like life goes, you meet the group and stuff through.
Yeah, through actually my girlfriend. Yeah, the girlfriend at the time. Her older brother was kind of became the group. Yeah. And
your girlfriend, now wife?
Yeah, now wife.
Yeah.
Yeah, girlfriend at the time. Jeez. I feel old.
That's pretty wild. Yeah. When did you guys first date? When did you guys first become?
When we were like 14. So probably, 15 years ago now.
Yeah, and so you were, at that time, were you attending a church? Like
yeah, I was at First Baptist Church at the Mall.
Yeah, it's no longer that.
Nope.
They got to be fancy. Lakes Church.
Really? I had no idea they changed the name.
Really?
Really? Yeah.
Dang.
I haven't been there in a long time.
Yeah, they've got a couple church plants too. I think there's one in Auburndale now. There's one on the south side here.
Wow.
One little one next to a Wooden Spoon, I think.
Really?
But you wouldn't know because they changed the name on you. So you don't realize. I mean, because, yeah, if you're going to plant, it's weird to be in Auburndale, not in a mall, and then say, hey, we're the church at the mall.
Yeah, I think I was around when it opened, and that's what we switched to. We switched to that church because it was just bigger at the time. Or something happened. I'm not sure. I have to rehash that story or something.
So what made you go there?
Well, I was too young. I was baptized at a different church, and I think it was before I was in, kindergarten. We switched, so it was before I even realized. I only have a few memories of the first church where I was baptized. I was actually baptized twice, one at each church.
Really? Why'd you do that? Or what's that?
Because the standard baptism as a baby in a Baptist church.
Oh, okay.
And then I chose to be baptized again. I asked if they would let me when I was probably 11 or 12 to actually feel like I chose to do it instead of them doing it. Just
wait.
Like
so
that.
you got baptized as a baby, like an infant?
Mm-hmm.
At what church?
At I think it's Parkview Baptist. Over there around Lake Parker.
I mean, that's a Southern Baptist church. I don't know if they practice infant baptism or like baby baptism. That's kind of strange. I wonder if
maybe it was requested or something like that. I don't know. I can't tell you what my grandmother's beliefs really were, and how strong they were.
Yeah.
Because she died when I was an infant as well.
So she requested that this be done. I'm
not sure.
Maybe it was a baby dedication or something.
I think something closer to that.
That's definitely something big in Baptist churches.
Right.
Baby dedications, which is like you just walk up there and they pray for you, but they're not dunking you. Like,
right.
Or
maybe a splash of water over your head or something like that. I don't know if you really get dunked. but I'm not really sure at
Yeah.
all what the practice was.
There's like a whole thing in churches where there's like, you don't sprinkle, you dunk. Like you don't sprinkle water on them, you dunk them, and like that's all discussed and
well,
debated.
there's a whole way to do it. You
then
blow in their face so they don't, so they
Yeah.
hold their breath, and then you dunk them
yeah,
real quick.
like Catholics do that a lot.
Mhm.
Catholics do the infant baptism, but as far as Protestant and especially Southern Baptists, I don't think they.
Yeah, maybe it
they're
was more,
all-
just a different thing that I remember. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean you weren't. Yeah, you weren't.
Yeah, I remember stories.
Conscious,
really.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. But so you start going to church at the mall, and how does that go? Like what's your experience there?
I do, like,
You're in the
whole
youth
9
group
yards.
or
Yeah,
Awanas?
I do Awanas.
Oh,
I
so
did
you
Royal
do-
Ambassadors.
Okay.
Yeah, I did that for years. Every Sunday and Wednesday for the better part of my childhood, I think. Yeah.
Okay. Like, do you remember getting your little
Yeah, I got all
badges?
badges. We made the derby cars and the Royal Ambassadors thing, and we would collect cans, and that's how we would kind of help the society, and we would try to get as many cans as we could, and kind of use that as like they would give us badges for that, and none of the kids knowing really that it's helping fund
Yeah.
what we're doing.
Do you think any of that carried over into your life now, where like I know there's a big emphasis on scripture memory, scripture reading, like it. Are there some roots that are put in
It kind
you?
of drove me away from it.
Really?
Yeah. I didn't like being forced to memorize certain parts, and even when I wasn't interested or if I didn't feel like they were connecting with me, so it was
Okay.
just like a memorization more than reading to understand or feel it. It was just, hey, do you remember it word for word? There was there was always like, if it was only perfect or you didn't pass.
You didn't get that badge,
Right.
And that would tick you off.
Right.
That's interesting. Yeah, because I mean, I don't think that God cares that you know the words per se as much as the meaning
The
behind the
lessons.
words. Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
just a different interpretation, and I'm not sure if Awana is the same way nowadays.
Yeah.
I know they had like different Awana books, like year 1, 2, 3, and 4, and stuff like that.
So
But
you went
I went all of it. Yeah,
like,
I
'cause, they
stopped
got
at high
like
school.
the Puggles, they got the Cubbies, they got the Sparks and
Yeah,
stuff.
I think I stopped after Sparks. I don't think I went into the like actual youth group part of Awana,
Okay.
like into the teenagers.
Okay. So did you go to the youth group after?
Yeah, I was still in a
Wednesday?
youth group. I probably stopped going somewhere in my freshman year.
Freshman year.
Yeah.
Okay. Why?
Because I remember taking Amanda to one of my youth group sessions.
Amanda's your wife,
Right,
Just-
Amanda, my wife now.
Yeah.
Teenagers at the time, but yeah, I
Yeah.
took her to one of my youth group sessions. That's the only reason I remember that it was freshman year.
Okay. And then it just didn't go
And,
well, or
and she didn't care for it that much. She didn't like being preached to, and that's kind of how she felt about that particular youth group at the time. Is that they were just really preachy and listen to me, not really interactive, and she just didn't appreciate how it was run.
Gotcha. So she would like more of a sit down and like have a talk.
Q&A kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
she would require something more personal, and I don't know.
Yeah, that's definitely the new trends coming up pretty hard now. Is like relational kind of communal discussion rather than a talking head on stage. I think most prominent youth ministries and churches are incorporating some sort of communal kind of like meetups,
Yeah, that's
and they
kind of,
call them 1,000 different names. I
yeah,
mean, it's crazy.
That's what
but-
drove me away, really, from the church, is that I didn't feel any personal attachment to anything. Like, I never had a one-on-one with that many people in the church.
Yeah.
It was mostly, I was just part of the group that was getting talked to. It was never one-on-one with any of my pastors or leaders, unless I had a problem or if I asked them. It just kind of felt, you blended in with the crowd. You were just one of the people. You were just one of the kids.
Yeah, I think I was fortunate enough when I started church. It was really strange. I mean, they had like a small stage in there, and we're talking like a foot off the ground kind
Right.
of stage,
Yeah.
and then maybe like 40 chairs, and everybody's playing Foursquare or shooting pool or something. Like there was activities there, but I walked in and I just sat down in one of the chairs, and nobody was coming up. You know, and I didn't want anybody really to come up. I was just kind of like, I'm here to just see what happens, you know, because I hadn't been to any real church before that. I mean, I went to a church before that, but it wasn't for church purposes. You know, that's a different story. But it was interesting. And then I remember shout out Ashley Hires. She came up to me, and she was like, I mean, to me, a pretty attractive lady that was older than me, and reached out and said like, "Hey, what's up?" And I was like, okay, I'll talk to you. But I'm telling you, if any other guy would have came up or an adult would have came up,
gone over the same way?
I think I would have just probably been like, this is freaking me out. I'm out of here.
You wouldn't have received it the same way.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't have said anything back. Probably. That's how tense I was in that moment.
In that youth group setting.
Yeah. I was just like, if anything goes wrong here, I'm just gonna leave because my parents aren't here.
Kind of interesting though. So you don't think you would have reacted the same way? It's interesting that it happened that way then.
Yeah.
You know, and it was a really particular thing that happened. Otherwise, it might not have grabbed your attention.
Yeah, I'd say out of anybody there, she was the prettiest. You know,
right?
Like the one I saw that was like, all right, you know, hey, what's up? You know, whatever.
Yeah.
Because that's where my mind was back then.
Of course.
I mean, dude,
you know,
I'm like,
just
I'm
puberty.
14, dude.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, and she was 16, and so that was cool. You know, it wasn't just like, you know, I'm horny or whatever. It was just kind of like, I'm not gonna not say hi to this girl.
Right. It makes you feel a little bit more comfortable.
Yeah. And her friend Caroline and they kind of, you know, decided to talk to me for a little bit, and man, it was just, I was all in my awkwardness. Like I stayed seated. This bothers me. I stayed seated while they stood and tried to communicate with me. Like I still stayed in that seat. That's how like uncomfortable I was, where I was just like, why didn't I stand up so we could have like a real conversation? You know?
Yeah.
Like
I'm trying to. Yeah, I haven't done that in a long time. Where someone was standing and I was sitting and talking to them. It feels.
It was just like
yeah. Yeah.
So, anyways, and then I got through that first night. I don't remember anything notable, but when I got there the second time, the next week, she came back up to me like, because I did the same move. You know, I was just kind of like, ugh.
Of course, you know.
Yeah, and they came up and they're like, "Hey, are you Paul?" And I was like, "Dang, she don't even remember."
Got the
my
P
name.
though.
Yeah.
It was close. It
Yeah.
was close,
dude. I can't tell you from that moment on how many people have gotten my name wrong and said Paul. It's a thing with me. Tony, can you confirm this?
Everywhere we go, it's what's his name? It's Jim. Anywhere we go, it's kind of a game that I play now. I just walk up to people that have had several conversations with them, and I'm like, "Hey, what's his name?"
Yeah, because they forget it. So, like, I don't know what it is about me when I announce my name, but it slips out of people's brains so quick. I bet y'all forgot that by the time I said this at the start of this episode. Like Phil Richardson, and if I say it over the phone, it's always Paul. Did you say Paul? So, like, since that moment, though, I don't remember in any time between. But it's funny how that every time somebody calls me Paul, I think about Ashley. I think about like the start
first
of my
time,
faith.
where it happened.
Yeah, she canonized that for my life, and so, anyways, you know, it was kind of one of those things where I started getting involved, you know, and then, you know, come to think of it, what you're saying, where there was no, you know, one-on-one and stuff like that. The advantage that I had was that for some reason I got to be really good friends with the pastor's kid, and that guy's, you know, always at church, and I wanted to get out of my situation, so I'm always up there anytime the doors were open. I was kind of like, you know, any events or anything. I never missed any of that. I'm always there because my home life was like just not as not what I wanted it to be. So I was up there, but then I started working the sound booth. Once I got in that sound booth and I started messing with Jordan, which is the PK, as they call them, pastor's kids. you know, we got into some trouble and stuff, but it was always kind of like he had a pass.
It was a fun trouble. It was never.
But he's also the PK, so it's like, what are you going to do? Kick him out? You know, it was kind of
always a slap on the wrist.
Yeah. And you know, so it was interesting, and that's why I stayed around. But see, since you didn't have that, I get why. You know, it's a transient kind of thing. Like it's like, oh, okay, nothing really. But now what people are trying to do is they're trying to have these small groups, and I don't know about other people's experiences, but sometimes it's like it's still very strange for me to walk into a small group for the first time because of the intimacy of how, like, you are going to talk. You know, you're not going to, like, depending on the group. Some people call small groups, and it's 15 people in there. I don't really agree with that size. Like, if everybody doesn't get a time to talk, you know, can you really call it that? What do you think? Yeah.
I don't know. I think 15 is a good size for an hour. I think everyone could get a word in some kind of group, but I think I'd prefer somewhere in like a 10 or less as a group, as if you're trying to be more personal or intimate about it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. So you left that at what age? 14?
Yeah, I'd say 14, and I didn't really practice any religion. I claimed to be atheist or agnostic, just whatever fit me at the time, and that was going up until right after I got married, or right before I got married.
Really?
Yeah.
So was there a moment of faith when you got baptized? I'm assuming that you had some kind of
I just kind of realized after that I chose to do that I still hadn't really realized what it was about, you know? Like, I still didn't really feel like I had an understanding of the lessons and the differences between, you know, old and new and stuff like that. It was just always kind of a blur for me. It was because of the way it was memorization. It wasn't really like, this is from this part of the Bible. It was just memorize this verse.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, and that's how it felt for me. I don't know if it really was like that, but that's just how it felt for me at the time.
So you think that there wasn't a genuine confession of faith before you got baptized there?
Right. You know, I think I might have just been going through the steps. You know, at the time, it felt like what I should have done, so that's what I did. And that's what, you know, because I think that's what my mom wanted me to do, and it seemed, you know, just, it made her happy and made my grandpa happy and stuff like that, so it just was easy to do. Easy to do. You know?
See, because I remember when I met you, I didn't think that you were an atheist. I thought you were like, I went to youth group, you know, I'm kind of agnostic in that sense. I didn't think that you were kind of saying God doesn't exist. Is that?
Yeah,
I
did go through that for a little while.
Wow.
That's why I said I kind of flip-flop between the two, where I was like either nothing or something, but yeah. A lot of the time I didn't put a name to it, or I just, depending on how, you know, what I had been reading or learning at the time, it's whether it be scientific or spiritual, is which way I leaned.
And at that time, I mean, you and Amanda had like an on and off time, right? So after the youth group thing, is that when?
After the youth group thing,
when I met you,
pulled me out of it.
You were with a girl. I don't know her name. I only know the nickname I gave her. So,
Marissa.
Yeah. We called her Green Machine.
Yeah, we don't have to say her last name or anything.
Yeah,
so it's okay.
Yeah. Green Machine was a real, like, I mean, every time I saw her, it was Green Machine. I just completely.
And she was fine with it.
She
it was
became
fun.
Green Machine.
Yeah, it was okay because it made her feel welcomed into the group. It kind of
and that was
broke
the point of
ice.
it. That was the point of it.
Yeah.
She was quiet. You know, she was more reserved.
Yeah.
And
it made her feel accepted,
honestly,
and she was good.
You know where I got that off of is a student life church camp. Like they do the colors. You know what I'm talking about, Tony? Yeah. Yeah. And there's like Yellow Swarm, you know, Blue Craze, and there's one that's Green Machine, right? So, and
Man.
Green Machine.
It was so fun, though. It was fun.
At that year, like, or whatever the last year I went to student life camp, Green Machine was like the most hype counselor out there. You know, I think we were green or something. They got me into it or whatever. So when I saw her, I was just kind of like, all right, I'm calling her Green Machine. just to see what and it's kind of cool to give somebody a nickname.
Yeah.
And it really sticks, like the first time you say it.
Everyone got into it. Right. It just clicked so quick.
That was pretty wild.
Everyone started chanting. It was fun.
A lot happened that night. I mean, we saw Tony's testicles that night. That was pretty wild.
Wow. Yeah.
Not mine.
Yeah, not this Tony. Sorry. Yeah, our buddy Tony's. Yeah,
One of our other buddies dunked chips into his underpants.
Yeah.
And ate one.
That was some fun nights there.
Yeah. Maybe better not to name that one.
Green. Yeah, let's keep him on the name. Green Machine, though. Shout out to Green Machine if she ever watches this. We
never.
Remember you.
There's no way. Yeah. But if she does, it's cool. It's all right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I hope she's doing well. So I think she is.
I'm sorry if it would suck if this reignites the nickname for her maybe one day. Somebody saw this and she's like, I know who she's talking about. Yeah. And then just bust that on her, dude. Like she hadn't heard it for 10 years, dude. Oh man. It'd be great.
Memories, dude.
Yeah, so you guys were on, I mean, so I don't know how long you dated your wife or how that went about. What happened there?
We dated probably 3 years. And I broke up with her my junior year just because I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. Mm. And she seemed to know exactly what she wanted to do with her life. So it seemed like I was going to hold her back, and that's how I felt. And I really think I would have, even now. I think it was good that we had a separation, and she went her way and kind of got to have her experiences, and I got to have mine. Mm-hmm. It's just funny how it led to us coming back together.
Yeah. Yeah, your girl's so smart, man. It's almost intimidating sometimes.
It is almost intimidating.
Yeah, I mean, we say almost to cover our egos.
No, it's almost intimidating because I live with it. Yeah, it's not as intimidating for me, but I could see as someone from the outside, she comes off intimidating.
I don't consider myself too intellectually smart. I'm more emotionally, intelligent in that kind of sense.
I feel the same way.
But then, like this week, man, I sat there and I was talking to this engineer guy that came and helped me, fix something at my house. Nice guy, but I was sitting there talking to him, and I said, "Yeah, man, my kids are getting so smart. Sometimes they're going to say some $5 word like fuselage," and he was like, Pff. He did that, and I'm like, yeah, fuselage is like a 4-cent word for him, dummy, dude. Like I should have anti-disestablishmentarianism.
No,
is
talk
what
to
I
my father-in-law,
dude.
It's hard. You can't ever sound smart in my house, man.
I want to pull out some big words.
You can't.
Dude. If I throw out some of that theology talk, hey, they don't know nothing.
If you
about
throw out
that.
A word that Amanda doesn't know, I'll throw you $100.
Really?
Yeah.
Ooh, okay.
I have full confidence in her.
All right. I got some words.
Not some like crazy, but I'm sure she might have still heard of some crazy stuff. So yeah, maybe.
I don't know.
But it has to be. You have to use it in conversation. It can't just be like, "Hey, do you know this word?"
Yeah.
But
it is somewhat. Yeah, it is somewhat intimidating. But at the same time, like, it's not something that I've ever felt like. Most people don't really look down on you for it.
No.
I mean, there's always fools in the room. There's always smart people in the room. Anywhere you go. I mean, I get that. It's just whenever you're talking, you want to be able to add something to the conversation.
Right. Everyone does.
Yeah. It's just one of those things where whenever somebody drops some super obscure fact or knowledge, you're like, I got nothing here. Yeah, I got.
Yeah. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I mean, that's how I feel about, you get into this space talk, and I'm like, what are you, black holes? How are they made? Why? I don't know. Insane things.
So you guys got back together. You said junior year you broke up, and then when did you guys get back together?
Man, that's tough.
So you've been married a year now, right?
Yeah, just over a year. Our first anniversary.
And how old are you?
I'm 29.
29. Okay.
Yeah, 30 next year.
Yeah. So much that us guys talk about and know about each other.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
I mean, I don't know exactly how old you are either, so...
I'm 33.
Don't feel bad. It's okay.
Did I say that in the intro? I probably didn't. All right.
It's okay. But, yeah, we probably got back together Just before she went to pharmacy school, I think. Maybe a year before that. I can't say right off the top of my head.
Yeah.
She was in school for a long time, so it's hard to say which year of her schooling exactly it was.
Yeah, so at that time we were friends.
Yeah.
You know, we were good friends at that point, and we really grew closer because every week we're playing D&D or board games at my house, and well, at my apartment first.
Right. Yeah.
Then the second year at the apartment when I moved to the 2-bedroom. Actually, no, you guys never saw me in the 1-bedroom. When I went to this 2-bedroom apartment, that's when I started hosting you guys, and
it was that, then the house.
Yeah, and then the first house.
Yeah.
And then that's where stuff's really started going because we lived so close to to the giggies, and
yeah.
And we started getting friends, but then I started seeing. So it's kind of crazy how things have happened with our group, because I think I started ahead of everybody. Like, I was married first.
Oh yeah, I think
I had kids
already
first.
settled. Yeah.
Yeah. But I still hung out with all non-Christian buddies.
Right.
Like, just
because we liked games.
Yeah. And 2, all non-parent buddies. And then
right.
So it's like trying to keep pace with you guys was a little much for me. As far as like my kid, I remember there would be times where I'd be rolling D20s for dice, and then I'd hear my kid, like, there was a time there where it was my first kid, so I'm freaking out anytime I hear anything in there, But I remember just like rolling and running. But we
were always cool with it.
Yeah,
it was always fine.
Yeah.
Like we were like, oh yeah, he's got to go check on his kid, but he'll be back, and we're going to keep playing the game.
Yeah. And everybody, here's a nice thing about this, because what happens with a lot of Christians that get involved in church is everything becomes church. Everything
revolves around the church.
And like your friends are Christians. It's like.
And how are you ever reaching out?
I'm glad you asked that now. Now that you're having this new faith, but yeah, like it's a little strange when you say, I'm going to follow this guy, Jesus, who hangs out with these people, but I'm not going to look like his social circle at all.
Right.
And I know the argument might be that, hey, he had 12 disciples that were walking with him, but at the same time, all the stories are happening around sinners and around,
right. It's where he's people, walking through. Yeah. He's not,
Yeah. So it's
always someone new.
That's something that, I've always felt like you guys have kept me grounded in a lot of ways that I think if I went the other route of having a bunch of churchy friends, where we're saying things like, cheese and rice.
Right.
But, stuff like that where there's not, it's kind of goofy to hear somebody say that and like, what's going on here? Or I don't know. It's like the people at church act a certain way.
Right. It let you experience.
Doesn't feel very authentic.
Right. It let you experience a different part. Yeah.
That's the simplicity of it.
And then once you get into it, you realize it is authentic. When I do it, because I do it,
yeah.
And I try to be better, and I try to, around especially kids and stuff like that, I try to filter myself more than ever.
Yeah.
So I think you realize, like, they weren't doing it out of, cheesiness or something like that. Like you said, the cheese and rice,
Yeah.
It's more like, now I do it because I get it.
Yeah. I mean, I see what you're saying, but there is, the thing is, man, I think that it's hard to decipher who's being real and who's not. You really have to be with people for a while to really see, like, hey, if you're legit or not.
Right.
And I mean, that's scriptural as well. There's going to be, the wolves among sheep. There's going to be, he's going to feed his sheep, but he's not. There's goats involved. It's like
he's going to separate the goats from the sheep.
Thank you, Tony. Yeah, I listened to a sermon this week about how this verse in Matthew 12, and it talks about how that there's going to be a lot of people at the wedding feast that are acting like they're dressed for the wedding feast, but they're not really there. Like, they're not dressed. And what that means is basically that there's a lot of people that show up to church and they're not actually a Christian. You know, they're not actually in the faith. And sometimes they deceive themselves, man. Sometimes, like you said, you know, at some point when you were 11, you thought, I'm a believer.
I thought this was it.
Yeah.
I thought this was I thought this was Christianity, you know, and not even the tip of the iceberg. I've dove down so much deeper holes now. You know, I didn't, had no idea what I didn't know.
Yeah. Yeah. But some people stay right there.
Right.
You know, some people stay with just, I've memorized this many verses.
Some people only need that much. And then that's the faith that they can draw on. You know, and I just think, for me personally, I needed more.
That's a good perspective, man.
Yeah.
You know, that is a really good perspective to have. I would just think that
I looked at it as a me problem. Like, why can't I believe as easy as someone else? That's how I viewed it. Yeah, I viewed it as a myself problem.
Yeah, I guess with my faith, man, I had a really hard time with the concepts of forgiveness, grace, you know, mercy. These kind of concepts that were really foreign to me in life, you know. And so I think that faith was kind of one of those things where it didn't really come up in my mind so much as like, if you're going to tell me these things, I kind of want to test the love. I kind of want to test the grace and the mercy. I'm not too worried about like if I think this is real or not.
Right.
I don't know. It's just one of those things where I didn't have that much at the start.
I want to see someone walk the walk.
Yeah.
You know, that's really all it is.
Or like, you know, okay, like he died 2,000 years ago. Like, how does that love apply? Didn't make really much sense to me. I mean, that's a lot.
Of course. Yeah, me either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just understanding the implementation of the faith. I mean, I'm here today. So like, you know, at some point I started understanding, but I can't really say, hey, there's this moment where it started changing. It's kind of like it comes back and forth, you know. It's like you always feel like, oh, now I know, now I think I've got it, and then somewhere down the line, it goes even higher than that. Yeah.
You know, you just never really know all of it.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, that's interesting.
There's always something more to understand. I don't know.
I felt like there's been this, and this is kind of why I'm starting this podcast. You know, there's always been this missing piece of, why am I going to church and these people are talking about love and grace, and we're talking about, you know, all the practices of Jesus, and then there's nothing for me to do to like do something about this, you know, to look like him and act like him. Yeah, I could teach another.
It's just not the way of the world anymore, you know.
I could teach another class. They you know, everybody wants that. I could, you know, help nursery, sure, but as far as serving the poor, there's very few opportunities or events or, you know, dedication to that, or, you know, serving or loving widows in their affliction, or, you know, we do small things, but it's not as important as it was in the Bible. How the Bible really makes it.
Like, no one's volunteering to help the elderly nowadays. Well, it's all paid. You know, it's kind of, no one feels that love or that kinship anymore to just us as people, I think, is what it is.
What I'm saying, well, yeah, but what I'm saying is, like, when I go to a church right now, and I just went to church Sunday, right? There was no expectation of me to do anything.
Yeah.
Zero. There was no group there that said, hey, we're doing this. If anybody wants to join, we're doing this today. Hey, this is a need in our community. This is a need in our church right now. We're doing this today. You know what I'm saying?
Oh.
And that's something that absolutely 100%, the original church, they were bearing each other's burdens and doing something.
Yeah.
You know, they were taking bites of the elephants in people's lives.
It's hard to branch out.
We are at about 50 minutes.
50 minutes? Okay.
Yeah.
Just trying to get an idea. Yeah,
Okay.
Go go ahead though. Sorry.
Where was I?
Okay. So I said like there's nothing.
I think it's hard. Oh yeah, it's hard to branch out. You know, because man, no, I did lose that thought.
Ooh, it's okay. I'm sorry. I should have interrupted me.
No, it's
you.
okay.
I learned that now.
Where was I? Man. Right.
Okay. What about if you're gay? That's what he's doing. Yeah.
I think it's a standard signal.
I'm sorry that you, but okay. So I'll say my point again.
Sure.
So there's no expectation, you know, or even an announcement of a relational community where people are coming up and saying like, this is a need I have, and expecting the brothers and sisters in there to help with that. You know,
right?
That community is something that we're missing, at least in the West. You know, at least over here. I know that there's some places
where I just came from in Texas, it really seemed like that over there. Like, you know, family and the church really looked out for each other.
Yeah.
But you know, everything has their flaws, their pros and cons, and things like that.
It's just like there's got to be some kind of action that we do with this. You know, we can't just say we believe in God, or we can't just say like we follow Jesus, but then not actually follow.
Right. I felt the same way recently. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Where I wasn't, you know, not like that I wasn't doing enough, but like, what can I do? Mm-hmm. You know, nowadays with so many things already out there, you know, is it really my role to play in my faith?
Well, that's something I notice in you, man. That is very strange and very unusual, I think, is that you started finding some way to serve pretty early on in your like revitalization of faith. You started doing that bike thing.
Bikes for Christ. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
called Bikes for Christ. I didn't know that. So
I got into
shout
it
out
with,
to Bikes for Christ.
Yeah, with Alex Xander-Bush.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And where's that at? Just to kind of promote them a little bit. Where's it located? Do you know?
No, I can't really. I'm
where's it
not good
around?
at specifics. Alex always drives me.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Is it
I
like,
wish I could give more information.
Well,
I
they
feel
got a
kinda bad
website or
now.
something, right?
Yeah, I'm
okay,
sure they
we'll
do.
put it in the description if you guys want to support them. So you guys just fix bikes.
Yeah, they just take old bikes. Maybe found. I'm not sure where he finds them all, but we have a group of guys that repairs them. I can't say I'm really that much a part of it. I'm really new to it within the last couple months.
Yeah, but the fact is that you got involved.
Yeah, I just felt like I had to. I had the time, so I thought, why not?
Right.
You know, that's the way I can do it, and it kind of filled my need of wanting to be hands-on with something.
Yeah, and I think that, you know, in the Bible it talks about feeding young Christians milk, and then you kind of grow up and you get bigger and you kind of start eating some meat, you know, some real stuff.
Right.
Starting to get after it, and I think that a lot of Christians are learning a lot, but they're not going out to Bikes for Christ. They're not actually. So they're obese in knowledge, but their acts are almost nothing, man. I mean, I've heard of statistics where like 95% of people just never tell somebody else about their faith. You know, that's pretty wild to me. Yeah.
I feel like I talked about it a lot through high school and even after that.
That's
even
awesome.
when I was in Memphis.
Yeah.
No, I feel kind of bad actually because when I was in Memphis, it was before I came back to my faith, and I feel like I misled a lot of what I call kids. They weren't kids, you know, 18 to 20, but what I was calling kids because I was just a little older than them.
Yeah.
But I feel like I almost misled them because they really, you know, I probably shouldn't have told them as their manager what I believed. I kind of played it off as a joke at the time, but it was, I don't really feel good that I told them what I did, you know. It was like kind of my agnostic or atheist feelings.
Gotcha.
You know.
Up in Tennessee, you're saying?
Right.
Okay. So, and, you know,
yeah,
just going back.
I kind of talk about it all.
Yeah.
It kind of comes up.
Yeah, and you know, it's important to be open about it, you know, not to be forceful, not to be kind of shoved down your throat style, but I don't think I think that it's strange that would be something out there. I don't know if that's like a real thing anymore. Maybe that was just
It
something I
always
heard.
was
Like, dude,
met with some kind of
like,
judgment, though. When I was religious before, when those conversations would come up, it would be instant judgment.
You felt judgment, you're saying?
Yeah. Yeah, they would instantly judge me. Sorry, that looks like my initials on his table right here. You have to. Yeah, I'll have to do my initials. It's really close. That's kind of creepy.
Whoa. Nice.
Sorry, distraction.
Yeah. Don't lose the thought. It's gone.
Mm-hmm.
That's okay. So it feels judgy, right?
Right. Yeah, they would judge me. Yeah, it felt like if I said, "Oh, I am Christian," because most of the groups or kids I hung out with at the time were not religious.
Mm-hmm.
Once I got into high school and away from my youth group, and I realized a lot of kids didn't really come off religious, even if they might have been. I wouldn't have even known. You know, I don't know anybody in high school that I would have said, yeah, that's definitely a Christian. They say they're a Christian and stuff like that, because I wasn't in the church anymore. I didn't even know who was and who wasn't, because no one was proclaiming or anything like that, even that outwardly, you know.
Mm.
So it just kind of, you know, you blend in with the crowd when you don't act.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's true, man. Yeah, it's true. I mean, I was kind of a weirdo in high school for, you know, because that's when I was first getting into my faith, man. I mean, there's some stuff, like one thing I did at high school is I was kind of getting into how do I trigger conversations about faith with 16-year-olds, 15-year-olds, you know? And so I asked one of the guys at my church, man, he actually ran the RAs. I said, hey, man, I need you to print me out some business cards. Dude,
no, dude, that's not the way to do it in high school.
Hey,
oh, no.
I was like, it's going to be official, dude. Dude, it said, do you want to talk about Christianity? And then it just had my number. Didn't put my name on there or nothing. And, dude, when I asked him to do that, I didn't think that, like, I thought he was going to give me 10 of them, dude. He came back with 500 of these business cards. Dude, they stacked this big. And I felt so pressured at that point because it was just like,
you asked for it.
I thought I was going to give away, like, you know, at 16, you don't know what you're ordering when you say business cards. And, dude, I think I handed out maybe 4 of them. I think because, you know, it's a cool idea. It's a great idea. And then you have to hand it out. And it's like, not doing that.
Yeah, this is weird now.
Yeah.
I'm looking someone in the face. Hi. Oh,
and,
this is...
yeah, I got one call. And it was a prank call, dude.
Oh, man, of course it was.
Dude,
I mean, of course it was.
Dude,
it's high school.
He called me in class. He kept laughing. Shout out to Aaron. He kept laughing, and I couldn't understand. He was trying to say, I want to talk about Christianity. He was trying to say that. I want to talk about Christianity.
But, yeah,
dude,
of course.
He told me after. Like, he told me after we were walking to lunch or something. He told me about that. And I was like, dude, don't mess with the hotline, bro. Don't mess with the hotline. Yeah. But, yeah, you know, but that kind of set me up to do more bold things. You know, at least I had the courage to pass out a couple.
Yeah. I don't think I had that.
There'd be times where, like,
after high school, I don't think I grew into that confidence to go up to people until after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, it got pretty intense for me because nobody really explained to me the importance of discipleship, and so I thought evangelism was like the main thing to do, and just to tell people about Jesus and try and get them converted.
Right.
Which is a really, I mean,
I believe
there's a lot of weakness in
the
that.
right time.
Yeah, but there's a lot that you're missing.
Right.
There's a lot that you're missing, and there's people that walk around and say, like, you know, they're the bullhorn guys. They're the ones that are sitting there in Ybor yelling at people that they need to repent. And, like, you can really go off the deep end if you think that Christianity is evangelism.
Right, because that's probably what scared me away from acting or doing something like this. Yeah. You know, is because all those people get that scrutiny, that judgment, again, you know, and it's like, man, is that really, do I want to end up like that? Is that how I'm going to end up if I go down this path? You know, is that really how I want to believe? I don't think it is.
Yeah.
I don't, not that I don't think he believes the same way I do, but I don't want to be that guy.
Yeah.
Nothing against him, but I don't think that's me.
It's so highly emphasized that, the people that have giftings that aren't evangelism, which, by the way, I don't think those guys that are sitting there shouting and actually turning people away from the faith have the gift of evangelism. Obviously, they have very ineffective ministries. I'll say that. Okay. You know, because they'll think, oh, well, I was there one time at the right place at the right time, and this person cried, and they came to Christ. Okay, that's cool, man. How many Mikes are out there in the world that say, I don't want to be that guy, and they walk away? You know?
Yeah.
It's like,
a
dude,
lot of
you're batting.
Most people, I think, that don't believe. Yeah, the most people that don't believe, you're not going to get someone to believe doing that.
Yeah. You have, like, it says, love the Lord with all your heart, with all your mind, with all your soul, with all your strength. I don't know if I did that in the right way. But that mind part, I feel like that's not preached. You know, like, love the Lord with your mind. Like, think
it's so
about
hard.
What you're doing.
It's so hard, dude.
So,
you know, and it really goes to show, like, how much when you believe, how much the Lord is on your mind, because you almost judge yourself. Like, almost all my actions, I kind of do that to myself, you know, like, I try to act as I would believe, you know, as I do believe.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So if I do something, sometimes I'll reflect on it later, like, man, was that really the right way to go about it? Even though I might have come off a little strong, did I need to? Was that the right thing? Was I really, you know, it might have felt wrong, but it could have been right, you know?
Yeah, man.
Sometimes God helps me rationalize those situations.
Can I just say, man, I mean, being your friend for 11 years, it's kind of crazy we're having this conversation about faith. You know?
Right? No, I get it. I never thought I'd be here either, man. You know, we didn't even get into it.
I mean, but I've
the
never
alcoholism
been,
and
feel like,
all the separation between that.
We'll get there.
I don't know how long this is going on. I don't know how much time you really wanted to go.
What do we have? Yeah.
We're at an hour.
Okay. Yeah, we're good. We're good.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
but I mean, we're going to go until the conversation's, done.
Okay.
So, but, just thinking about us having this conversation, man, and it's like, let me ask you just personally, was I ever the bullhorn guy for you? Like, was I ever?
Yeah. I think you kept me, as, like you said, grounded in a different way. You know, that there was still that part of Christianity that was still in my life. You know, like you were that.
It was me.
It was you. For most of the last, I'd say 5 to 10 years. It's probably like if I've pictured Christianity in my head, there's a picture of Phil in there.
That's a big compliment, man.
Yeah.
At least that's how I receive it.
It should be.
I'm
no, really.
Freaking take the wins when I can have
really.
them,
No, really. Like,
so, yeah, but what I'm saying is, like, I've never wanted to be, because it's kind of strange, you come home from working at a church, and then you hang out with your buddies that are
partying.
I mean, there'd be times where, it's like, it's kind of funny that I preached a sermon an hour ago and I just took a shot.
Yeah, like, but sometimes it's just that's what fun is, know. And
and it's not like I'm getting
your limits.
It's not like I'm getting hammered, but it's just kind of funny that
it's strange
that this is going down. I'm hanging out with my buddies, So it's cool that I could be that, serve in that sense, because what if I would have been the bullhorn guy? What if I would have said, like, you guys, I'm a pastor. Like, you guys really need to listen to. You
would have drove us off.
Yeah. I don't think that we would have the community.
I don't think we would have come back to your house. I really don't. Yeah.
And I think that it would just solidify that that's what Christians are. Which it's really not, man.
It's really hard though sometimes, because going from someone that is Christian who believes and trying to empathize with someone that doesn't believe and trying to give them some kind of guidance without bringing religion into it.
Yeah.
It's, I'm like, man, sometimes I give that to God, and I can't really say that to my wife. She doesn't, and she doesn't believe that way.
Right. Yeah, man, that's a tough thing sometimes, to really not over religious something.
Right.
Because you have to talk in the perspective that the person's going to understand, man.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like,
if you just push that onto them,
if at that time I just said, like, hey, have you prayed about it, dude? You would have been like, hey, what are you even talking?
I'll take a shot to that. It would not have been.
Get out of here, man. And but that's a common move.
Yeah.
That's a real
have
common
you prayed
move.
About it?
Oh, Gosh, that's a common move.
I hate that one.
And it's very much a lack of empathy because they're not putting themselves in the shoes of that person to think, would they even be able to see that what I'm saying is, it's like if somebody doesn't believe in prayer, how not empathetic is it to say that to somebody? It's like,
right.
What are you saying? You're saying nothing. And I mean, the book of James says a lot about that. It talks about how if you can't, if you tell your brother who's in need and you say, oh, okay, I'll pray for you, and then they leave hungry. It's like, what good's your faith? Your faith without works is dead. I mean, that's why we're doing this, but at the same time, it's just one of those things where you see it so much. Hey, can I pray for you? It's like, okay, if Mike's coming to me, and we can use this to talk about the alcoholism, right?
Sure.
Because that was a section in your life where it was. I mean, I was worried about you. Sure,
everyone was,
but
everyone but me.
But what am I going to do? What am I going to say to Mike, who's got just this huge bottle of 90% grain alcohol or something?
That thing was nuts,
dude.
man.
Dude. And I'm going to sit here and say,
bottle.
hey, man, have you prayed about this? Dude, it's like, what? It's like...
sounds like you're fighting demons. Have you prayed about it?
Yeah. I remember, you know what's funny, man? Sometimes things slip your mind and you don't really think there's a problem, for a while. Like it's just like Mike drinks, that's fine, whatever. I remember the moment that I thought maybe Mike has a problem is that you brought over that grain alcohol, and I've never tasted something so bad in my life. Dude, that stuff was
rancid.
Yeah, but it was the cheapest,
almost
and it was the most.
Yeah,
it was the most hard hitting.
Not quite Everclear, but it was almost there.
And I remember trying it with you. I took a shot with you, and we did it on my countertop, dude. And so we hit the shot or whatever, and a little bit spilled out, and I felt it burn my mouth, and I quickly went over and got a napkin because my thought was, this is going to take the varnish off of my cabinet.
It might have.
Dude.
It might have been high enough percentage.
This is hard. What I just drank is bad enough to damage this thing. And then I thought, and Mike drinks this, dude. And I was like, what? Why have I not seen that this might be a problem?
I was poor.
Yeah,
that was the cheapest stuff that I could mix it because it was such high proof. I could mix one shot into anything and just drink it.
Yes,
and I didn't need much more.
But that's the thing. It was just kind of like the hardest hitting thing you could have too, man. So I was like, holy cow! If he's drinking this, and you're the smallest guy in the group, I mean, you don't have that body mass to be able to. And so I started thinking about that. I was like, how did I miss this?
It's because I always told everyone I could handle it.
Yes.
And
you're convincing.
And I was convincing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I could even
that was that moment,
deceive my girlfriend, now wife, at times when I was drunk.
How did that start? When did you notice an addiction, or when
I didn't.
Okay.
Yeah, it was everyone around me, and it took a lot of lessons, I had a DUI.
In retrospect, do you know? Yeah. We'll talk about that, but in retrospect, do you remember a time or like a moment where this is where you slipped in? No? Okay.
It was really like, it was kind of mostly pushed onto me, and then acceptance came after. Yeah.
Okay.
It was just something I accepted that I had to do to keep my life the way it was.
Yeah, so let me ask you this, because I know this is kind of a polarizing idea of like addicts in recovery and stuff, or where the source is. So some people see alcohol as the problem, other people see alcohol as the solution to an underlying problem. What do you think?
Alcohol is never a solution.
You don't think it's ever a solution?
No.
So you don't
think alcohol is a depressant in and of itself.
Right, but what the point is that was Mike going through something?
It never helped me.
Right, but were you?
I didn't drink because it helped. I drank because I would black out and forget at the end of the night.
But that's the thing. See, so there's a problem of something you're wanting to forget.
Right.
And so the solution is alcohol. That's what the argument there is.
I don't know if it was really anything in particular I wanted to forget, though. It was just existence. at the time.
Well, that's something to forget.
But it's not like I wanted to die.
Don't like their life of where it's at yet.
I mean, it's not even that. I don't even think I ever hated my life. It was just something that pulled me in. You know, it just, I just, a good feeling that went too far every time. You know, I just don't have the limiter in my brain that tells me to stop, is what it feels like. You know, once I get 3 drinks in, I feel good. And I'm like, how do I keep this feeling going forever? And then it's like, okay, now I'll have my 4th, my 5th, my 6th. And then I go past that feeling, and now I'm in a completely different space. But it's okay because I don't remember.
Okay. That's interesting. I mean, yeah, I've heard it both ways, but that, you know, just to hearing it from you, I think that it makes more sense to me remembering how you acted. You know, you're there for a good time, and
it was always
I don't
like
want
kind
it
of
to fade.
a hill. I would go up, and then it would be a certain point, and I would just drop off, and everyone saw it when I would drop off that ledge. You know?
Yeah, there was a few nights there where it was, dang.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, I don't know how I didn't stop sooner or how someone didn't put me in my place sooner. You know, I think it's really what I needed, and it is what I got at the end.
Did you need me to do that? I mean, as being like a Christian influence in your life, should I have stepped in hard? Like, was there something I could have said?
Maybe. Like, maybe just the hint of it might have, you know, because I was just so away from my family at the time, physically and even mentally. You know, I remember telling my therapist some pretty bad stuff, you know, like how I felt about them or how I didn't feel about them, how I didn't care and stuff like that. And I, you know, regret saying that kind of stuff now. I never said it to them in person, but, you know, it's something I felt. So, man, where was I going with that?
Saying that you're far away from family,
right?
And so I could have maybe stepped in
and helped, bring me, you know, kind of maybe bring me back towards it, because I don't know, but I think it was the same way. Like my mom wasn't really outwardly believing, and neither was my grandpa, so it never really seemed like something to go back to. It's not like they kept going to church all the time after I stopped. You know, they didn't keep going on Wednesdays and Sundays as religiously as they were.
Okay.
It seemed like my mom was doing that more for a community.
Gotcha. And so you were in that for a while. How long were you, with alcoholism? Like, how long until you got sober?
I don't know, man. I think it was really bad for 3 or 4 years.
I'm sorry, man. You know, see, hearing that and knowing that I was your friend, I probably should have had the courage to say something. And just
a younger
identify
time,
it, you know, like, but I'm not looking out. I should have been looking out.
We have a lot more wisdom now, dude.
Yes, man.
You know, in hindsight, it really is.
Even in the moment, you know, it's kind of like,
you never know when's the right time.
I know I had that thought.
Yeah.
So, you know, but I think that at some point I was on the other end of the spectrum where guys are bullhorn guys, and then other guys are not sharing their faith but just trying to be relational so much that they never really go.
You just never saw that side of me
for the hit
at the time. I was having those deep conversations with like Tony or Kevin.
Yeah.
You know, where I was having that drunken
That's
cry.
Our friends. Yeah.
Yeah, some of our friends.
Yeah.
I was having that drunken cry, you know, that depressing cry you have when you get, you know, a certain amount of alcohol in you. And that's who I was going to. It was never, you know, you never saw that side of me, I think, where I would break down and become soft instead of angry.
No, I didn't. I never saw one of those, man.
Yeah.
That sucks to know. You know, I mean, maybe I wasn't.
It's just because they were around before. You know, they were just closer friends.
Well, it's also probably because I had kids I had to put to sleep, and like you
know,
guys would go and
you weren't as available. And
hang out until like 4 a.m. man.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can't be out there, which is always that kind of gap that I felt. Now everybody's caught up, everybody's having kids. You're pregnant, you know. I'm like, yeah, boy, I like it whenever we're about to be done with everything at 10 p.m. Get wrecked, nerds. That's how it feels. It feels like y'all are finally coming to my pace.
No, I'll just stay awake. It'll be fine. We'll take shifts. I'll just stop my game to go take care of the baby, and then put her back down and go back. I
remember thinking this way. I remember thinking, like, I remember telling
I'm Superman. You just don't know it.
Yeah,
dude.
my gaming buddy's like, Like, I'm still going to be here for the raids.
I can't do. No, I stopped doing.
Or like with you guys, I still hosted every night. It's like, why am I hosting? I could go and just be there for a couple hours, but instead, my boys are coming over till 1 a.m. And then I was just kind of one of those things where it's like, I've got to be hospitable, but also, like, I think if I'm in my own home, I feel more comfortable staying up late, so my kid has me there.
Right.
But dude, that caused a lot of stress, and even in my relationship sometimes, because it's like you got to clean.
Work where you play, dude.
Yeah,
it's hard.
Yeah. So anyway, so then you were there for 3 or 4 years, and then you get the DUIs, or how'd that come about?
So I think it really started when you remember I worked at Olive Garden.
Okay.
Yeah. So when I was a server, I think it really started there. I might have. I had bottles I'd keep in the car. I'd run across the street to the liquor store and buy the little shooters. I was pretty at the time I didn't think it was bad. I just thought I was having a good time. It was just like I was having a good time every day. But at the time I was just like, I'm having fun. I'm just living life. Whatever. Right. It's just fun. I can still do my job. I can still,
Thank you.
Oh, thanks. I thought I was going to hand this to you. No. But
you were living your life.
Yeah, I just, it never seemed like a bad thing. And then I think it got out of hand. I don't want to throw anyone under the bus that might have been with me at Olive Garden,
Yeah, no worries.
But, a couple years later, I started hanging out at Wally's a lot, a pool hall. Mm-hmm. And it was more like 3 or 4 nights a week I was up there, and drinking every night. Every night I was up there. And every night I wasn't up there, I was probably drinking at home.
So how many times do you think you drove drunk versus how many times you got caught? I mean...
Oh, way more. They say...
Hundreds or something?
No, they say on average for the DUI is 88 to 1.
So do you
drive
think you're
88 times before you get caught the one time.
Do you think you beat that ratio, or where do you think you were?
I was probably even.
Really?
Honestly. I talked my way out of 2...
How did they get that statistic? That's kind of crazy.
Yeah, right?
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. It's pretty accurate with Mike here.
I mean, they said it and I believed it.
Yeah.
It was accurate for me.
And so what happened with those DUIs? I mean, you got any...
Only one.
Cool story? Oh, only one, okay.
Only one DUI. The other 2 just happened to be like I got pulled over and they're like, you smell a little like alcohol, but I wasn't really drunk at those. The actual DUI, I was toasted. Yeah.
Okay, do you think on the actual one or on the non-actual ones, do you think you would have blown a .08? Or?
No,
okay.
I would have blown lower. I was fine on those ones.
Gotcha.
And
so just the one.
They were right to have let me off with a warning or something like that.
Gotcha. Okay.
But towards the end, there was no way I was ever going to get let off with a warning if I got caught on any of my, within the last 6 months to a year of my drinking. If I had been pulled over, I would have blown over 08 anytime.
Dang.
Yeah, if I had left Wally's, I would have blown over.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so, what with the DUI? I mean, what happened there?
So it was actually a night that I wasn't supposed to be drinking. Told people I wasn't going to be drinking. Ended up leaving the bar with a new buddy I had made to go back to his house to drink more.
Yeah.
And we stayed up drinking probably till 5, 6 in the morning, and then I was like, just went into a panic. I was like, oh man, I got to drive back to Tampa. My girlfriend's going to be pissed at me. And I tried to drive back to Tampa from Lakeland.
Oof.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I got pulled over at like 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning. Blew almost twice the limit.
Okay.
Yeah. And that wasn't even my wake-up call, dude. So I got arrested, called my mom, called Amanda from jail.
Yeah.
Did I call? Yeah, I think I did call Amanda. And my mom bailed me out. 13 hours in the jail. That wasn't fun, but it was only 13 hours compared to some other people, so I can't really complain about that.
Yeah.
I got stuck with like 50 hours of community service, $1,500 fine, had to have like a breathalyzer in my car for a whole year. It was a lot. I think it cost me close to $12,000 at the end.
Jeez. Okay. So when was the wake-up call?
So after that, I even totaled a car after that. That was after my DUI.
Were you were driving drunk then, you're saying? And just didn't get a DUI or what?
I can't remember that one. I hit my head a lot.
Okay.
Yeah, I hit my head a lot, and they said I had a concussion. So I don't even remember much of that night when I totaled the car. I was probably too drunk to be behind the wheel, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, everyone freaked out. I only remember waking up and my mom was there next to me in the hospital, and I don't even know what's going on. I mean, they could have told me I killed somebody, and I wouldn't have known.
Man, yeah.
You know, it's crazy. Like I could have died there, and it still didn't. That still wasn't the wake up call, dude.
Dang.
Yeah, dude.
Okay. So one confirmed DUI, second one probably
I would have been.
Well, yeah, you would have been if you would have got, but you were driving and got totaled, and so then what was it? What was the wake up call? Let's get to it.
I almost I kind of got in a fight with Amanda's dad. I just flew off the rails one night, and for no reason at all, and blacked out, started going crazy. I don't even remember what I was going crazy about. And eventually they pulled over, and her dad had me on the ground and was ready to swing at me. And
Whoa.
Yeah, so we got back to the apartment me and Amanda were living in at the time, and they all left, and it was just me in that apartment, and that was the last night that I drank. So it was, Amanda pretty much walking out the door, and, her dad doing everything but beat me up pretty much, really put me in my place, though. So.
You think God was using that? I mean, do you think that was a moment,
say,
or is
I
it
don't
just
know
life
if
happening?
I think that's probably life. I don't know.
I mean, you reap what you sow, right? Like,
Yeah.
there's that biblical concept of like,
I
if you're
did
gonna
that
do
to
this crap,
myself.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if, some people could say that as a sign, like God pushing me in a certain direction or pulling me in a certain direction. If you want to stay with if you want to build a family, this is what it's going to take. You have to cut out the alcohol. It could have been a sign interpreted that way, but I didn't really interpret it that way at the time.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
So you got sober, and then
I got sober.
you got really into the faith soon after that?
No, not even soon after, because I got sober before we went to Tennessee, and we were in Tennessee for 2 years, and my mom passed away a year into us being into Tennessee.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that, man.
It was cool. No, it was really good. I felt, kind of had some closure almost, because my mom got to see me sober for a year.
Yeah.
So it was actually really nice. I'm glad that I had decided to do that when I did, so she could at least see me getting better. So
Nice,
it was
man.
really
I mean,
cool.
that's a great outlook on
Yeah.
that, man.
So, that's really actually what helps, keep it going too. When I have those struggling days, I never really question if I'm going to have a drink or anything. Like, it's never that hard. But sometimes when nothing else really takes the edge off, I have it in the back of my head. I know what really would, but that's never an option.
Okay, and then so what triggered it? Was there a eureka moment of getting back into the faith, or was it just?
Yeah, I think it was when coming into marriage and family, and really trying to understand what love is. I was really trying to wrap my head around love. I was about to proclaim my love to the world and to the government and anyone that I love this person.
Yeah.
What does it really mean? And I never really knew if I understood it. So, and I think I got scared. I was like, I don't know. Do I? Maybe I have some kind of cold feet or whatever.
Yeah.
Just nervousness, general anxiety or whatever. But I went through it, and I was like, man, I kind of was just sitting in the bathroom, not doing anything. Just that's where I felt safe. Closed, locked the door. Freaking out a little bit, having an anxiety attack, and then I was like, you know what, I haven't prayed in a while, and it just hit me for some reason while I was thinking about marriage and thinking about my future. And I was like, in the past it was, let it go, just give that one to God, let him have that anxiety about that.
Yeah.
He'll take that for you.
That's scripture,
and,
man.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know what it was. Just hit me in that moment, and it kind of was the catalyst to restart my faith.
Wow.
Yeah.
So nobody really talking to you? It just came to it?
I might have had some stuff on YouTube or something like that.
The Holy Spirit kind of moving like that.
I really do. Yeah.
Making something happen just at the timing.
Yeah. It was just timing. It really, when I was asking, I guess maybe I didn't know it at the time, but I was sort of praying. You know, maybe, you know, I didn't know who I was praying to, but it was almost like it was answered at the time, you know, because I promise you, I was in that bathroom wishing I wasn't having anxiety and sweating and, you know, going through all of this stuff. You know, some people might interpret it as prayer, but, you know, I was just wishing at the time. And if, you know, I'd say, you know, he came back in and said, he, you know, put his hand on me, and it was like, hey, I will take that.
Well, I mean, you know, you bring up the point of a lot of times, like, suffering can lead us back to, you know, the counsel, like the healer.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's like, if that suffering doesn't exist, do you ever turn your face, you know, back to him? Like, probably not. You know, you got to have struggles in life.
But see, not everyone goes through those lessons, you know, and that's something that kind of messed with me. Like I said before about the faith, it's like, why can't I believe that easily? Why didn't I have the faith as easily as someone else? Why did it take me having that suffering for me to learn? And that's also stuff I just had to let go over time. You know, I have to stop asking myself those questions. It's not really healthy, but, you know, that's what I was going through.
You know, suffering, like, whenever you suffer like that, it produces, you know, good traits.
It does.
It produces perseverance. It produces character. Character gives us hope. You know, that's something that you get to experience.
I come to understood as I got back into my faith.
Yeah.
Is you know,
but
when you pray for patience, God gives you an opportunity to be patient.
Right.
He doesn't give you the patience. Or when you pray for strength, God gives you the opportunity to be strong. And it's like,
yeah,
you know, that's just kind of where I had my realization. Is like, yeah, this is my wedding. It's going to be for me. It's going to be good. And I really flipped over the next day. It went from anxiety to just like, it's going to be great.
Yeah.
And the next day I woke up and it was
that's the beauty of, like, of having that experience,
right?
You know, where you realize I really did cast my burden on him.
Yeah.
You know? And it's easy. Like, it's easier that way when you know that something way stronger than you is now handling it.
Yeah, because you know,
so
you ask for signs and stuff like that. Everyone does, I'm sure. You know, everyone has doubts. Everyone wants to see a sign, and you know, you don't think about it until you look back on it like that. You know, if you haven't asked me about it, I wouldn't, you know, have thought about it like that.
Yeah.
It's not something I really go back and look on, you know, like when you know, what happened in that moment.
Well, man, I mean, yeah, I'm really happy that it happened.
Yeah,
you know,
me
really
too, man. Like, I feel good. I feel better than I ever have, you know. I'm living my best life right now.
It's really cool to see the transformation with you, man. You know, and it's awesome to see that you're already getting involved in whatever way you can. I mean, that's exciting. But I guess for me, you know, I still need to be a good brother to you now. You know, and I don't think that I've done a good job at being a good brother. We've met a couple times, but it's like, you know, I do need to, you know, take a bite of the elephant in a sense of, you know, serving you as far as like what questions you have about the faith and that kind of, like, we need to set up a time.
Yeah. And then, like you say, just taking bites of the elephant. You know, it's you got to tackle it one thing at a time.
Yeah, you know what the thing is about that. Like, I want to kind of pick your brain because we had this idea on doing something about you, like the situation that you were in. So what we were thinking was, you know, taking a bite of the elephant and seeing a real problem out there in the world is drunk driving.
Right.
You know, I mean, if that's a real statistic, 88-1, that's terrifying.
That's what they taught me in my DUI course. They mandated that the court mandated I had to take. That's one of the statistics they taught us, is that the average person that gets one DUI had driven drunk 88 times before they had gotten caught.
Yeah. So
whether realistic or not, but that's what they had taught us in that mandated class.
So the action step of the faith, what we were thinking about was how do we stop DUIs in our area? You know, how do we help with that? And so we were thinking, you know, I was thinking about giving my number to a few bartenders and saying, hey, if somebody's too drunk, you can call me and I'll give them a free ride. Now, that was my initial thought, you know, then a secondary thought was, well, do I stand out in front of a bar with this sign that says free drunk taxi? You know, it's like, hey, if you're really intoxicated, are you really going to read this sign and get in?
It's a little too much, you know. It's,
I think it is.
You have to attack it from a different angle. You can't really hit it from the "I'll drive you home."
But do you think that a bartender would call me?
No.
No? Mm-mm. How would you say?
I think
how
you
could I
have to do it through some kind of Uber technology or something like that. It's like, hey,
I
at the
ain't
end
got
of
that kind of stuff.
You know, exactly. I think that's where it would have to end up, because you wouldn't have enough people.
Well, people don't want to pay for that ride either.
Say you're on a ride,
yeah,
and you get a call for someone else, and you get a call for someone else, and it's at 3 different bars on 3 sides of town.
Now, this is
going to
be a one-time thing.
See,
I mean, what if I just drop? Here's the thing: we go up there to Wally's. You know, I'm sure you know the guy still.
Yeah,
right? Yeah. And you vouch for me and say, this guy's good. He's not gonna steer anybody wrong. But if anybody gets too drunk up here, and you obviously know they're going to drive home, like, you can call him and he'll come try and give him a ride. And just taking a small bite of giving somebody a ride home at a time. I think that might be.
I just try to make myself seem available that way. You know, I try to let my friends feel like they can call me whenever they need to, or anyone that knows me.
Yeah, I don't have any of that. I mean, I don't have anybody that I'm thinking, like, I just want to be available and serve, but at the same time, like, I'm not going to go up there and be like, hey, who's wasted? Let's be friends.
Right.
I'll give you a ride. I don't think that's the way forward either.
Yeah,
so
it's just a different angle that it's something that's going to require more thought. If you want to, I'm
going to give it a shot.
If you want to go for it, though, I'll put some thought behind it too.
Yeah, I mean, if you can think of some stuff, I mean, if you obviously you're welcome to join on the ride throughs and see. No pressure on any of that, but I'm just thinking, there's got to be a way to find the mics out there right now that are sitting there doing their 88 times before they really screw it up, Yeah. And
maybe don't come out as fortunate as I did.
But the thing is, like, the second greatest commandment in the Bible, love your neighbor as yourself, right? So I got to put myself in their shoes and think, how would I love me? Sitting at a bar, how would I love that person if it was me? And at least I get them home safe. At least they don't kill somebody that night, That's what I'm thinking. So I'll give it a shot. It's episode 1. Who cares if I fail, right? I mean, hey, to the 10 people that have watched this and the 7 that made it to this point,
it could be well received, though.
This is what we're doing, dude.
It could be well received. No.
Thanks, Mom. You probably watched this multiple times. Thanks.
I don't know anyone that's going to watch this that Amanda might watch and laugh at me. Tristan, I think, would have a field day with this thing.
Nice. Yeah, you good? Okay. Yeah. So, all right, man. Well, let me pray for you.
Sure.
And we're gonna get out there and try and help some people not make the mistakes.
There's other ways to go about it. I've looked into it before. I'll let you know. Yeah.
Okay, we could talk about it.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, if the follow-up video is something completely different than this, then we found something cooler or something more effective. I mean, that's the thing. Love the Lord with your mind.
Right.
So we got to use our minds, man.
Yeah.
Some way that effectively we can prevent this.
The way I can serve best,
Yeah.
Because I might not be that available with a new coming baby and coming in, Call me at 2
this is
a.m.
just this
I'm not
week,
going to answer the phone.
Yeah, this is just this week. I mean, if somebody out there wanted to make this their ministry, cool. It's a practical ministry that honestly saves lives.
Do it for one person?
Yeah. Just do it. Taking a bite of the elephant. Hopefully, maybe inspiring somebody out there to make this a thing where, hey, every person around them has their like the bartenders have their number, and they've built a rapport, and they can go out there and know, like, hey, this is what I'm going to do. That's a ministry right there.
That's cool. I could probably do that. Actually, I'm really good friends with the bartender up there at Wally's. I could probably give him my number.
And you don't sleep well.
Yeah. I could probably do that. If someone's like, hey, if you know someone that you trust, like, I don't want some stranger that could do some crazy drunk stuff in my car, someone that might attack me or something. But, You know, if you someone that they know, like, hey, this is a regular here or something like that, they shouldn't drive and they're trying to drive. Can you come and get them?
Dude.
You know?
That'd be awesome, man.
Yeah.
Let's do that. I mean,
I could probably, yeah. I'll do that. I'll go up there and give my bartender, the number. Since I don't drink anymore, because I still go up there to Wally's and yeah. I even asked him.
And that's I mean, loving them as ourselves, man. It's like I think if I would have given the bartender my card whenever you were up there, they might have called me for you.
They would have.
Yeah.
They probably.
Yeah.
But then again, I snuck out when I had people there with me, man. So
can't get them all, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's pray real quick.
Yeah.
All right, God, thank you for this day. I thank you for this podcast, this ministry that you've brought us to be a part of. God, I thank you so much for the friendship that I've had with Mike and being able to just see him grow. I ask that you bless him. I ask that you continue to just build him up and let him serve you. It's just awesome to hear him be eager to serve and being able to just really thank you for the things that have happened in his life. You're a good God, man. I appreciate you giving me another brother in my life like this. Allow me to serve him and any kind of iron sharpens iron kind of situation there, Lord. I need to be diligent on that. So I thank you for convicting me on that today. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Thanks, bro.
Yeah, man. It was cool.
Yeah. Peace. All right. Bye. What do you want me to say, Tony? Jeez. Episode 1, dog. Ooh.